Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. We are at the ETSI NFV number 13 in a really rather magnificent setting. We are in the Kushta Banashti, which is Irish for Executive Boardroom at Croke Park, the headquarters of the Gaelic Athletics Association here in Dublin. It's quite a room, believe you me. You can't see all of it, but it's big. Anyway, I'm talking with Gerry Donahoe, Technical Director of Openet. Gerry, welcome.
Thank you.
To begin with, let's just start, in case anybody doesn't know what Openet does. You're based in Dublin. What do you do?
Openet is a leading supplier of BSS systems, in particular what we call policy and charging control. In essence, we allow an operator to make money from their network.
That's short, sharp and to the point. We'll get to that in a minute, how you do so. Let's begin with this. After all the excitement and the buzz around the announcement of NFV and the proofs of concept and the field trials and so on, actual commercial rollout of virtualized services has been slow and it's been partial. Has it been taking longer than expected? And if so, why? For example, is it because service providers have been rather more cautious than the vendors thought they might be?
I think it should be remembered that NFV was actually an operator initiative and not driven by vendors. And I guess one reason is that vendors have yet, and obviously I include Openet in this, haven't delivered exactly what the operators are looking for. In particular, I think the difficulty in building a business case is an issue. Originally, one of the main benefits was touted as being CapEx savings. But certainly in Openet's experience, more to the fore are operational and new revenue capability. And I think when vendors make claims, they have to make them credible. So, things like faster time to market, what does that actually mean and how will it impact the operator? I think we have to take a holistic approach in order to generate new revenue. Pretty much end-to-end capability is required, and just rapidly deploying a new network capability isn't on its own going to make a difference to the revenue. And that's something I think vendors need to be aware of. They must make a very strong business case for any proposed solution.
Thank you. Good answer. I like that. Manufacturers have been collaborating and partnering in the build-out of big open vendor ecosystems. What do these ecosystems look like? How important are they? And what has the response been from service providers, given, Gerry, as you were saying, that this is a service provider-driven initiative from the beginning?
I think ecosystems will become very important over time. I think the progress so far has been a little slow. I think we have to be very careful that the ecosystems don't become siloed or become dominated by one of the major players. In terms of what operators think of them, because they are basically still at an emerging stage, I think operators are more interested in fully integrated solutions and effectively vendors that have pre-integrated and can deliver some capability. And Openet, for example, has partnered with Brocade to supply a VEPC capability that is an end-to-end integrated capability, so that an operator can know that it works initially and meets the necessary SLAs and so forth. I think over time this will become more organized, and hopefully some of the shall we say non-profit organizations rather than the big commercial vendors will have a major part to play here.
Thank you. $64,000 question next, Gerry. What exactly is Carriergrade NFV? How is it different from any other form of the technology?
Well, I think when NFV capability is deployed in, for example, a mobile operator, it still has to deliver the same quality of service and reliability that heretofore was capable with physical nodes. You were talking about 5 nines reliability. However, it may do it in a very different way. The old adage of redundant physical hardware, dedicated boxes, that obviously is gone. So new mechanisms are needed, and it becomes even more important when we're talking about elastic scalability. When new capabilities provisioned rapidly, it has to have the same quality and reliability as the hard engineered system of the past. How we do that, I think, is a challenge. I think it requires significant monitoring capability. Obviously, the point we alluded to earlier, the ability of partners to do pre-integration is key. And I think we have to look at new ways of thinking. Proactive maintenance. Detect things before they actually start going bad. That kind of thing. I think it will require new ways of thinking, but I think the benefits far outweigh the risks.
Thank you. Now, business transformation that goes in hand with technology transformation and the emergence of the virtualized network shows that many operators actually lack the skill sets necessary to manage that transformation quickly. One of the reasons, presumably, why we haven't seen many deployments of NFV yet. It's evident then that new blood specialists are needed. Where are they going to come from, and how long would it take them to get up to speed?
I agree with you. I think that is a challenge. I mean, the old vendor-specific certification obviously is less important here. And as we move from a NetOps to a DevOps type deployment model, more software skills are needed. And I would suggest that operators initially look towards their IT groups. I mean, a lot of the skills are there. And I know that AT&T, for example, is reorganizing its 130,000 staff towards a software network. Telefonica has said they want to remove any physical domain barriers between them. So that's a start. But for sure, the industry has a lack of qualified people, particularly in terms of, say, OpenStack expertise, and the possibility of specialist SIs providing this skill set, I think is a reality, particularly for the smaller operators that can't attract the necessary people and the necessary salaries that they currently command.
I was going to come straight onto this. You've led me right into it. I was going to ask, is there a difference then as far as NFV deployment is concerned between the tier 1s, the tier 2s and tier 3s?
I think there is. I think it would be a mistake to assume that NFV is not for the smaller operators. We certainly have deployed virtualized solutions in smaller operators. But I think the ability of a smaller operator to develop an in-house skill set, particularly in any kind of reasonable time frame, is a challenge. And I think they will certainly the smaller operators may have to rely more on systems integrators, and the bigger ones obviously have the wherewithal to retrain and recruit, even if the salaries are at the moment at a very high level.
Well, you mentioned AT&T with 132,000, you said, and Telefonica, obviously, creme de la creme, but other parts of the world and in smaller operators is going to be a much more difficult proposition, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and I have talked to smaller operators. We're talking about 3 to 4 million subscribers, and they're basically sitting back and waiting, and they certainly don't want to be leading the charge or be seen as an innovator, and I think the opportunity there for SIs and vendors to deliver them solutions in a box that they don't have to worry about will give them a way of reducing their OPEX and monetizing better. But there certainly are the smaller operators, certainly many of the smaller operators are probably not going to jump feet first into doing NFV deployments anytime soon.
Now, it's been said that network transformation and virtualization is like building a plane while it's flying. Back in 2013, TelecomTV, this company, conducted a survey which indicated that it would take 2 or 3 years before we would see virtualization in carrier networks. If you were asked the same question today, when we're in mid-late February 2016, what answer or estimate would you give now?
Well, I think it must be remembered that NFV, the original document, was only published a little over 3 years ago. And I think there has been significant success. I mean, AT&T will claim that 5% of its network is virtualized, and they're on target to do 75% by 2020. Telefonica make similar claims, particularly in VCP. So, I mean, it is going on, but I think everybody now agrees that there's not going to be a big bang approach. The idea of a fully virtualized network may take many years to reach fruition, and in the interim, I think what's needed is solutions that solve specific needs for an operator, and solutions that can basically integrate across virtual and physical domains. I certainly think that is happening, and Openet itself has deployed many large systems, particularly ones at scale, in some of the biggest tier ones. Okay, the entire network is not virtualized, but certainly parts of it are, and that will continue as an evolving process.
A last question to you, Gerry. We've sort of mentioned it in passing, but let's look at it in a bit more detail just for a minute. Technical capability is fine, intent is fine, but surely at the back of this is monetization. The telcos, the service providers that take on virtualization in this way, it's a major, major change. It's expensive. How do you go about monetizing it so they know that when they've spent all this money and done everything, they're going to get ROI? Absolutely,
and I think that was something that was on the back burner in NFV for the past 3 years. It's changing, and there's now a new work group to look at charging and billing concerns for NFV. And the bottom line is, even if you can rapidly deploy a service capability, if you can't monetize that, are the operators going to do it? And so my mantra is always that your billing and subscriber engagement systems have to be as agile as your virtualized network. Otherwise, you basically can't generate the revenue benefit of that fast network.
We shall see what happens over the next few months and years. Gerry Donahoe, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.